Today I'll be showing my attempt at becoming the first person in the world to platinum Silksong, the game we have all been waiting for over 6 years. We will need to 100% the game and witness every ending there is. According to PSN profiles, I was the first person in the world to unlock the true ending of the game, so you better know I wasn't joking around with this attempt. We will also need to complete a speedrun of the game under 5 hours and even get to 100% completion again, but this time under 30 hours. One specific section in the late game gave me a lot of trouble, but hopefully it won't stop us. Well, only one way to find out. We open up with Hornet right after falling down a bridge we destroyed in the opening cutscene. I check out the movement immediately, and what struck me the most was this pogo jump. It isn't really much of a pogo anyway, more like a dive. This move will come haunt us in the upcoming area. After getting a little bit more familiar with the movement and getting through some combat / jumping sections, we arrive at our first boss, the Moss Mother. This is a tutorial boss after all, so we only have about 2 attacks to deal with. First attack is this dive, which can catch us off guard if we are not paying attention, and in the second one she bangs her head against the ceiling, dropping either rocks or smaller enemies. We of course end the encounter in style by chaining like 4 pogos in a row. After climbing up, Hornet collapses and gets woken up by this kind snail lady who definitely doesn't play any significant role in the game's last act. Shortly after our encounter with the snail lady, we arrive at Bone Bottom, our first town we come across. Bone Bottom is only one of 3 towns that have this nice little quest board. We can't actually see it yet since this little guy is building it, but here's how it looks like once it's built. We also meet our first proper vendor who is selling some important items, like for example a tool which we will be getting shortly, a mask shard which increases our health once we find 4 pieces in total, craft metal which will become very important once we start collecting all 57 tools in the game for this trophy right here, and also a simple key. There are 4 of these simple keys in total we can come across that unlocks surprisingly simple locks. Let's visit the next area, the Marrow, a very welcoming and sweet place as you can see. We fight these annoying ass skull crabs or whatever here, and also find a lot of breakable walls. The whole game is riddled with secrets, which I really like. I mean, it's a Metroidvania after all, isn't it? This little guy we meet is Sharma, and he is really cute and also a great singer. He wants us to open this gate for him, which we of course proceed to do shortly after. I mean, how could you even refuse this little guy? We even encounter our first gauntlet section, which is basically this combat encounter with waves of enemies. Since this is the first of many, of course it's gonna be easy. Can't really say that for the ones we encounter later though. Getting through the zone, we spend some rosaries to activate a bench we can sit on. Rosaries are basically money here in Farloom. We will need a lot of cash to activate various benches, since after we die, this bench is here to resurrect us. Rosary economy is extremely important. Jumping up these platforms, we arrive at a camp with these fleas. The main boss over here tasks us with one of the longest side quests we will encounter. Find 5 fleas. Well, that's not too bad for now, but what he actually wants is for us to find all 30 of them for this trophy right here. While doing a bit of exploring, we stumble upon this closed off room with something shiny on the table. After inspecting closer and grabbing it, we realize it's actually our first tool, which also means our first trophy. Tools are something like charms from the previous game Hollow Knight, which basically unlock certain perks. Since we're on the topic, I think that this currency isn't really needed, like at all. You see, what we really need are rosaries, since they're extremely scarce in this game and we use them to buy extremely important things like the mentioned benches or even fast travel stations. The problem is that not every enemy drops them. Some enemies drop shards instead of these rosaries. Like for example, almost every enemy here in the Marrow. I would much rather prefer every enemy dropping rosaries, even if the amount had to be adjusted instead of these shards, but let's continue with the game. In the distance, we can hear this banger song, and what do you know, it's Cornifer, or the replacement for him. Chakra here sells us maps, and we love her for it. She also sells these pins or whatever, but I never use them. They could prove useful when you want to make sure to not forget something, but I kept actual notes in a notes app instead. Oh, by the way, not all benches cost us money, some are actually free like this one. I guess late stage capitalism hasn't hit Farloom yet, until we get to the Citadel of course, because holy shit, this big boy is stuck in silk, so let's free him. Or I guess not. We indeed need an ability to do that. Good thing that that ability is just around the corner. A trophy as well, why not? Silk Spear is the first silk skill we get. Tongue twister there. There are 6 of them in total, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves and let's help this poor woman first instead. She wants us to collect 3 mossberries. Good thing we already got 2, and the third one is literally in the next room right over. Completing our first wish, or you could say side quest, gives us a trophy, but more importantly a new tool. This tool is one of my favorites, and funnily enough it's located at the very start of the game. It helps us regenerate some silk after taking damage, which allows us to heal faster, which is always good in my book. Let's free our boy over here, shall we? He isn't really pleased with our attempt at rescue, so he fights us. He can jump, slide, and even drop these bells on us. That's bells, okay, not balls, thankfully. I died to him on purpose here, by the way, don't mention it. The second time as well. For defeating him we get a trophy. He even drops this silk heart, which helps us regenerate 1 slither of silk, which we can see right over here. Before we are able to leave this station, our buddy here reveals himself as the taxi for our travels around town, which is very nice. I give him a few smacks smacks as a friendly gesture. After ringing this huge bell, we come across our first lost flea who appears to be stuck in these roots. Nothing a few smacks can't fix. Remember, we need to find all 30 of them if we want to get to 100%. Our next stop is this small prison where we meet up with our new friend Grindel, who is a sneaky thief and who will also become a vendor later on. Above him we can also find a red colored tool, our first red tool that is. A small pin we can throw for some extra damage, which is rather useful. Now here is where I made a grave mistake. Entering this tunnel and fighting End Boss over here was not a good decision. You see, he tries to teach us that sometimes the best thing we can do is leave and explore elsewhere. Almost every attack is designed with the idea of you dodging. I mean really dodging, with like an actual ability, not just your skill. We get this dodge in the other area we can go to, the deep docks. Anyway, I unfortunately banged my head against this boss so much I managed to beat him, and I found myself in the worst area you possibly can in the early game, the Hunter's March. Infested with ants that take like 100 hits to kill, no actual reason to even go here since there is literally nothing for us at the end that helps us progress, and possibly the worst one of them all, these stupid ass balloons. The way these work is simple. Pogo off of them and they send you flying in the air. The issues arise when we are supposed to chain between like 4 of them while simultaneously getting blasted by our flying amigos over here. I died constantly, over and over again. I realized that this game isn't really for babies, and to beat it I had to lock in. In the end we did manage to actually get through it, even beating the gauntlet that sits right at the very end of this section, which is just brilliant. Chakra also helps us here, so everyone please thank her. Like I said, there really isn't anything here for us right now. This area becomes important at the very end of the game, where we will jump up right here and enter a secret location, but enough for the spoilers. The place we were actually supposed to go is here, the deep docks. I unlock another fast travel station, buy a map for this area from Chakra, and meet up with a new NPC, a blacksmith of sorts who we can use to craft some tools later. Let's not be hasty though. To craft these tools we will not only need rosaries but also craft metal, that silver grey material thing we saw the vendor back in Bone Bottom selling. Currently I have 1 craft metal on me, but as you can see I am broke. Get used to it. We will be broke at all times, almost like in real life. We also managed to find our first spool fragment here. Spool fragments increase our capacity of silk storage, although we will need to collect them in pairs since collecting just one doesn't give us anything. Following along and getting a bit of fresh air and touching some grass, which I should definitely do after putting this many hours into this game already, we discovered the best addition in Silksong. A sprint, and not just any sprint, a sprint and a dash all in one. Magnificent. I spent like 4 hours just running around this place, just look how happy I was to see this. With our newly found sprint we can enter up here and hit this lever which opens the door downstairs. Entering through here we meet Lace. I almost called him Lancer just now. Lace plays a big part in the story, and this won't be the last time we are seeing her. When it comes to her fight, all I can say is cinema. Matter of fact, almost every boss in this game is extremely engaging. Besides this one, but we'll talk about it later perhaps. She is a fencer and also uses a weapon similar to ours. She can also parry our attacks and counter us right after. This is the type of boss that makes me wish we can get another Hollow Knight game before I hit like 40 years of age. That would be optimal. Another trophy earned for defeating Lace is ours. After ringing another huge ass bell, we land in Farfields. This place is actually huge, I mean have a look for yourself. We are finally able to complete the Find 5 Fleas wish, which we got way back in the Marrow by rescuing this cute fella. What I started to notice more frequently though were these upstreams of air or air pockets or whatever they are. I then met up with this NPC who gives us a wish, which is an actual World of Warcraft quest where we have to farm enemies and collect items from them. Floating is the next ability in our arsenal, another core ability helping us proceed and not have a miserable time. Nothing is easy in Farloom though, so on our way out we have to fight this dude. He isn't all that difficult and his attack pattern is rather simple. We deal with him in a cool and unique way, and that is by using the environment to actually defeat him. With our new floating ability we can make it to the next area, but I chose to go back and complete the Find 5 Fleas wish, which actually gave me the option to relocate with the flea gang, and I ended up somewhere entirely new. This new area is called Greymore, but before I could explore I went left instead, where we get this cutscene. Here in Belhart, people are trapped in silk and it is our job to be the hero and save them. I wasn't really trying to be annoyed by all that right now, so I returned to Greymore instead. While taking up on the job of an exterminator, I found this item called Memory Locket. These memory lockets are really important and we will use them later to unlock this trophy right here. The next point of interest we find is a barn with a special somebody up top. Alien looking ass who gives us a new wish where we have to fill up his, or I guess ours now, Hunter's Journal. The Hunter's Journal is a basic bestiary where we can track every enemy we have defeated thus far. There are 237 entries, which might sound like a lot, and that's because it is. Continuing right, we end up in one of the worst gauntlets in the whole game. These 2 bird enemies were the bane of my existence, I'm not gonna lie. Literally every single enemy has contact damage, and with such unpredictable patterns, I'm glad my controller is safe, that's all I'm gonna say. After many attempts we can finally ascend and hit this lever to activate these balloons that help us bounce up to the upper part of this whole area. It's crucial for us to get up here since we need to ring another huge ass bell. Oh, and these bells are actually important. I don't know about 4 right now, but that will come in just a bit. No spoilers. spoilers. With the help of our new bouncing balloons, we arrive at the first chapel. Chapel of the Reaper, precisely. These chapels have the same type of reward at the end of them, and those are the crests. We can equip different crests while sitting on a bench, and what they do is change our moveset quite drastically. What was more important for me was the change to the pogo attack. Going from this annoying dive attack to big sweep was blissful. For getting our first crest, we also get another trophy. Back at Belhard, which is the cursed town we talked about, we head left into Shellwood, but not before picking up every wish from this notice board. We still have one more town left to see, but that will be quite a while, so we'll have to wait. Shellwood is a green area that is going for the whole woods kind of vibe. I mean, what am I even saying? It's in the name after all. This area holds another important ability, and that is Mantis Claw, the Cling Grip. An ability that lets you climb almost any wall in the game. We can get it for free though, since we have to get through Sister Splinter here first. Even though the situation looked dire at first, I actually do manage to beat her first try. With our newly acquired Cling Grip, we explore some more of this wooded area until we come across these bell tunnels. They are located right about Belhard, so that led me to think that we might be getting close to the source of our town's curse. Well, and what do you know? I was right. Just right about Belhard is a widow, who is our main culprit. Hornet says that this widow is not the source of this silk, but she has to be involved somehow. Maybe just keeping it going. Anyways, this boss beat my ass. The widow is the hardest fight I fought up until now when it comes to the boss fights here in Silksong. I fought her for like 20 minutes, which might not sound like a lot, but for me this was the longest time I had been stuck on a boss so far. That will unfortunately change, sooner or later. We also learn how to play our needle, which is pretty cool. Down at Belhard, the curse has been lifted and we make the town alive again. There is a new vendor waiting for us at the shop, but what really got me was this little house. Pliny the Nailmaster lives here, and judging by his title, he should be able to help us with our weapon and our only weapon. No other nailing will be happening. I'm not sure by how much did our needle improve overall, but the damage increase is really noticeable. The next time we will visit for some upgrading, we will need pale oil, which there are 3 of them in total. The next area, Blasted Steps, is you could say the last area that stands before us and the Citadel. Traversing through here for the first time is actual hell. Not only is the platforming challenging, there is also this wind mechanic that can stop our momentum at any time if we are not careful and glide at the wrong time. But the worst of all are these stupid ass flying enemies. The projectile they shoot bounces a few times before disappearing, and it plays just as bad as it sounds. If not for them, our life would be so much nicer, but what can we do? After many torn out hair roots, we finally stand in front of the Great Gate. The Great Gate isn't so simple to bypass, so first we need to ring 5 bells. Those same big ass bells we have been ringing this whole game. Now if you thought that that was all, you are unfortunately incorrect. Not only does it require the bells, we also have to defeat a new boss. An extremely difficult boss at that. I fought this boss collectively over an hour and a half, and that's because of one thing and one thing only. The crazy run back. All of that just to get squashed like a bug. I mean, we are a bug. All of us are bugs, but come on. I haven't seen such a crazy run back since like Dark Souls 2 or whatever. Absolutely insane. I must say though that I respect the decision to put it in. A lot of developers are scared nowadays of doing such a thing. Oh, and yeah, I gave up on him for a while. My skill issue was just too high at this point for me to continue, so I chose a different path. My first stop while I was backtracking was all the way on the very edge of the map to the left at the Moss Grotto. I found another chapel here with another crest called Crest of Wanderer. This was my favorite crest for a while actually. Your attacks become extremely low range, but the speed of them is unmatched. Probably the most high skill ceiling crest in the game. Now all the way over to the right I found yet another chapel. This time we have the Chapel of the Beast, and the boss we have to beat here is complete. This boss has literally one attack and it's the most simple concept known to man, but for some unknown reason it just feels impossible to dodge. Even looking back at the footage, I still have no idea why Savage Beastfly here gave me so much trouble. And all of that pain and suffering for the, in my opinion, worst crest in the game. If you want to heal while using this crest, you actually don't regen any masks immediately. Instead you enter Beast mode, and each attack you deal in this Beast mode heals you one mask. Let's just say we won't be seeing it anymore, that's all. Now what happened next is honestly crazy. Approaching this fly enemy and getting ourselves caught like we did doesn't kill us. Instead, we get teleported to a completely new area, which is a prison of some sort, and our job is to escape. We even get robbed of our cloak here, so we have to run around this place completely naked. Not the smartest idea by Team Cherry. I know of only one other game that pulls off this sort of thing, and that is Bloodborne. If you know, you know. Escaping from here isn't actually much of an issue, since all we have to do is go into this not so secret passage, fight a few enemies, platform upwards and through this chilly area, which I will talk about shortly, and there we have it. Our cloak, needle, and this guy's broken neck. I then found a new Beltway station, which is the fast travel spot, but not before entering this one-off snowy area. Mount Faye is this place's name, and let me tell you, it's peak. No, like actually we have to get to the absolute peak, since it's a mountain, you know. We can't actually start our climb right now though, since we can't interact with these circles yet. We will need a new ability for that to happen. Even looking at our map, we can see that this is not where we are supposed to be at this point in time. I decided to travel back to Blasted Steps and start dealing with the last judge, which is the boss that is gatekeeping us from entering the Citadel. She kicked my ass for a long time, like I said, around 2 hours or so if I remember correctly. She has a very huge hitbox, and since every enemy in this game has contact damage, dodging attacks like these can be tricky. On one run back I even lost around 300 rosaries, which looking back isn't a lot, but at the time the window right next to me was looking real pretty. Another embarrassing thing I have to add is this death. What else can I say? I mean, the footage speaks for itself. Finally, beating the last judge and standing far away this time finally opens the great gate to the Citadel. Now that we are finally entering the Citadel, I thought that everything would be nice and alive, but I was certainly wrong. Even the elevator decides to give up and breaks down. Instead of going up like we planned, we end up down in these stinky, disgusting sewers. Greedy bastards. The underworlds have really tight platforming sections that gave me trouble for a while. Combine it with these new Citadel enemies and we got ourselves a hard-ass section. The gauntlet that takes place here is also a killer, since they combine this huge-ass enemy with the smaller ones that fly and yeah. Pain. Escaping the underworks finally brings us to the Citadel. There are no enemies to be seen just yet and every hall seems empty. That is until we have a small chat with Lays here about not paying our taxes when the enemies decide to wake up. Everything is difficult here in Citadel. The platforming, the combat, even finding secrets made me scratch my head harder. The map is also gigantic, just have a look for yourself. I would say that my orientation skills are quite good, but to be fair I was completely lost in this place. Every room looked exactly the same to me. It's really pretty here though, so at least there's that. I somehow make my way back to the slab, which is the prison we were held captive for a while. I opened some door from the other side which connected the map perfectly. A new path opened for me to explore, where I found my second spool fragment, which finally increased my silk storage and gave me a trophy. We haven't gotten a trophy in quite a while, so I was happy to see some progress. I still couldn't access my snowy area, so I made my way back into the Citadel, where I encountered a new form of a puzzle we haven't seen yet. It's a puzzle for first graders, but still. You probably solved about 30 variations of this puzzle throughout your life, so no need to explain further. For completing this we get rewarded with a cogheart piece, which is important for one side quest later. We are still collecting a shit ton of lost fleas for the wish we owe to that one flea guy since the start of the game. We also slapped this guy for trying to rob us here. 10 out of 10. At the end of this dining hall we just entered, we encounter Mergwin, who has some pale oil ready for us. He doesn't run a charity though, so if we want to get this pale oil we need to do something for him first. He tasks us with collecting various ingredients so he can cook up some delicious food for his master, I'm guessing. These ingredients are extremely hard to get and we don't really get any clues on where they are even located. No need to focus on this quest anyway, so let's continue upwards. Almost at the very top of the Citadel we encounter one of the most fun boss fights in Silksong, at least in my opinion. Cogwork dancers. They both attack at the same time, at least in their first phase. They are even kind enough to let us know where they are going beforehand so we can dodge them. This fight is pretty mediocre when it comes to the difficulty, but the enjoyment of it is at the top. In their next phase they get a little uncoordinated, which makes it harder to react to them since they are starting to attack on their own. Now for a little depressing touch, in the last phase we fight only one of them since we destroyed the other, and yeah, look at this poor guy trying his best. After we defeat them we can finally enter this giant elevator and okay, never mind. To enter the elevator and ascend for the final time we will need to play a little song to prove our worth. And not just any song, unfortunately. We will need to play the threefold song, which actually has its own trophy for learning it. We need 3 melodies in total to complete the whole song, so let's start collecting. First we head right and visit our last town I was talking about. For now we just ring the bell, talk to this snail dude and pick up the white key over here. I remember immediately where this white key goes into, since back at this place called White World we found a dysfunctional elevator with a white keyhole next to it. Let's go down and see what's up. Okay, so an actual asylum I see. I'm surprised I'm not sitting somewhere close judging by my play count on this game in 5 days. Jumping down the furnace we find ourselves in the underworks yet again. This is the main place we are supposed to go now based on the fact that we get another new ability here. A harpoon ability which is needed if we want to hang on these circles. Yes, the same circles we found back on Mount Fae. If we use this ability we propel ourselves forward by quite a large distance honestly. Not only does it help with our movement, we can also activate a bunch of new doors we couldn't previously. Soon after that we meet another NPC who can sell us some new tools. He also demands craft metal from us and not just rosaries. We can also find his mysterious architect key in his inventory, but we will have to buy that later since it has a condition we must meet first. So the first part of the threefold song is located over at High House, an area with lots of platforming and disgustingly obnoxious enemies, especially this guy with his fireflies or whatever they are. The ending section has us descend downwards, which is really stressful since we don't even know where to land beforehand. Once we place our feet on the ground we can finally rest at the new bench and also activate this thing called the Ventrica. These Ventricas are another form of fast travel and they are located all over the Citadel. Anyways, what comes next is absolutely horrible. This upcoming Gotland section might be the worst combat encounter in the whole game and I'm not even kidding. Everything starts off pretty normal with some Citadel enemies spawning in, which mind you are no pushover either, but they are doable. Next we get hit with 2 of these enemies from High House which parry almost every 3 seconds. At times I felt like the game was reading my inputs, but I'm not sure. Then we get hit with these 2 guys and our nightmare begins. Playing this section for the first time actually felt impossible. Keeping track of just one guy takes like 90% of my brain power, but add the second one and I might start crashing out. I died countless of times before I figured out that the best strategy was to keep moving right under one of them. This strategy isn't perfect though, but it's the best one we got. I thought that this gauntlet might be ending, but I was very wrong. A new mini-boss appears who I have not seen yet and claps my cheeks almost immediately. I go back, deal with them again and manage to beat him this time. The gauntlet still doesn't end and keeps spawning more and more enemies. Another guy with his bugs and this parry guy, but what came right after that took a part of my soul. Another mini-boss, but instead of one, we have to fight two of them this time. You cannot tell me that this section was playtested even once before the game came out. I have no idea how I managed to survive this surprise and beat them without dying. After I was victorious, I just stood there in the middle of the arena contemplating my life. First part of the melody learned and two more to go. The next area I visited was the Cogwork Core, a platforming heavy area with many environmental hazards in the form of this stupid ass sauce. They patched the damage already, but when I played it, each fall would cost us 2 masks instead of 1. Insanity. Making our way up, we arrive in a huge room with what seems to be another puzzle. We have to rotate 4 parts on each of these pillars so that the markings match up. I'm not sure whether I was supposed to read a clue somewhere or what, but I just rotated every part until I felt like it and it matched up somehow. Have to call up Shaggy to help me out next time. Solving all pillars makes the statue sync and we get the second part of the melody. I took a small break from completing the melody and went on to explore and tie up some loose ends. On my exploring journey, I stumbled upon my 4th mask shard, which upgraded my health from 5 masks to 6 masks, and I got a trophy for it. I have been playing for 11 hours by now, and this is when I unlock my first health upgrade? Brilliant. I also encountered this mole looking ass enemy and he is my contender for the worst foe in the whole game. He spits this poison which covers pretty much the entire screen, and I mean, just look at the way I fought him. This is the only time we will see this bozo, so at least there's some good news. As I was this close to the start, I wanted to check if some new item didn't spawn at the absolute beginning of the game, since many games, especially Metroidvanias, do that kind of stuff. But I was wrong. Absolutely nothing new was waiting for me. Although I did manage to uncover this weaver looking door, and upon further inspection I realized I could unlock it if I just played my needle. This place is really nerve-wracking and reminded me of the deepness back when I played Hollow Knight when it comes to the atmosphere. I explored even further and found out about Eva or whatever. She is this mysterious entity that is connected to the weavers and can help us out. She even has a trophy tied entirely to her. After talking to her, we give her the permission to upgrade our hunter crest, which is the default one. Now, I wasn't sure what prompted this, but I knew it could be done again based on the dialogue. She even gives us a new tool slot altogether, which is much appreciated. I mean, we are going to be fighting some insane bosses in just a while. For now though, we still need to get rid of some glitched bums like this guy, for example. After my little detour, I decided to go back and finish up the melody we were working on for the elevator. This last piece is unique in the fact that we need to find it first and then bring it to this Slither.io looking guy. He is a music enthusiast, and once we bring him this psalm cylinder with the music imprinted on it, he can play it for us and therefore we can learn it. But that is unfortunately a whole ordeal, and just as usual in this game, I get sidetracked and go from the Whispering Vaults, which is the area we were currently in, into Bilewater, which is tragic. Like, actually tragic. This place may be the most rage-inducing area in any game ever. You can ask anybody who played through it and I'm 99% sure they will agree with me. If you step, even just for a second, into any body of water here, maggots will jump on you and prevent you from healing. If you heal while the maggots are chewing your dick off, they will just come off, but your health won't increase, and if you step into the water again, which you will, they are right back on you. Then there are these enemies who jump out of the water randomly. Jump randomly. I was also lucky enough to find this twisted butt item, which is tied to one of the endings of the game. Now, why is that a bad thing, you might ask? Well, from now on, each time we open up the map or our inventory, we can hear this little fucker crying and whining non-stop. I mean, this whole area speaks for itself. It's not a surprise that I died like 5 minutes of being here, and that's a good thing actually. I spawned back where I came from and I sure as hell didn't go back there. I instead went to another secret area where I had to move all of these boxes in the correct order, and once I did, I found, what do you know? Pale oil. The same oil we used to upgrade our needle's damage, which had me completely hyped up. I was just talking about how I didn't want to visit that stinky green area again, but once I upgraded my needle, I had a new burst of confidence, so I went back in. I somehow managed to completely speedrun this area, at least to the Bellway station, which is all the way down, which I have no idea how I managed to do. Listen, that's what no map does to motherfuckers, so there's that. Not gonna lie, I was getting a bit frustrated by now, since I had no idea where the map was or what the hell I was even doing here. This next area definitely didn't help in my confusion, let's just say that. Here in the mist, our objective is to follow these what I'm guessing are silk butterflies or fireflies by playing some sick tunes next to them until they show us the correct path. If we don't oblige and go wherever, we will just keep spinning in circles over and over again, and that's exactly what I did. I knew that something was up with these fireflies, but I just didn't connect the dots in my head. I unfortunately had to go back and come back later. Somehow though, I battled through my confusion and I ended up on the other side of Sinner's Road. That's it again, another location we haven't been to yet. Traveling upwards alongside these spikes, we end up in a small tight room with this guy who looks really mean. He isn't even a boss, just a regular enemy, which at this point is welcome. He drops us the second simple key, which means we still need 2 more. I continued from here and stumbled upon my 15th flea, which unlocked the trophy for collecting half of them. 15 more to go, I guess. I was finally fed up with this area, so I decided to go back to Whispering Vaults and finish up the melody. For real this time. Ending up back here, I travel to the left through a vent and I pop out at the other side of this door, unlocking a shortcut which is very much needed since we are about to fight Rubio, a performance artist who is just straight up aura farming throughout the whole fight. Half of the things he does explode and sometimes he even transforms into a tornado. This might be the top 3 seizure-inducing boss fight based on how many explosions we will witness. Defeating him opens up the passage to the Psalm cylinder I was talking about, and once we bring it over to the vendor, we can finally learn the blast piece of our melody. For learning the threefold song, we get rewarded with another trophy. Well, this is it. Go over to the elevator, play our needle, and find whoever is the last boss. Oh, who would have guessed? It's the annoying kid. How surprising. No, for real though, this boss is extremely hard, especially since I have only 6 masks. Laze here is very smart as well, since the parries she does are really calculated, and this time I am pretty sure the game is reading my inputs. Also, this arena is sick, I gotta say. This is the second boss that took me over an hour to beat, and I think there's no shame in it once you see what crazy shit she can do. The crest I was using also isn't the greatest for a fight like this. After defeating Glaze, we get a trophy and can finally ascend to the very top of Farloom and face off against Grandmother Silk. Don't get me wrong, she isn't a pushover, but kinda mid. I'm specifically talking about the difficulty here. If we are talking about the visuals, the design, and the style, another cinema by Team Cherry. Anyways, after dodging many attacks and smacking her with our needle, she goes down and we do what's right. Steal her silk in a cool ass sequence. Everything crumbles down and Hornet becomes the new host of Silk. This is what I'm guessing the bad ending. Anyways, we got a trophy, so we are winning. And since this is a video where I try to become the world's first achiever, I think that I would mention that I was the second person ever to get this trophy, which means I was the second person ever to complete Silksong on PlayStation. At least according to PSN profiles. That's the only way we can find out anyway. This whole playthrough took me about 14.5 hours, but we are far from done when it comes to the trophies. The first thing I do is go over to Mount Faye, over to the left, and climb all the way up. I should have done this a long time ago, but how could I have known that all the way up there is the double jump ability waiting just for me? The first major thing I found was over at Sands of Karak. It was one of the ingredients for the dish over at the dining area back in the Citadel. It was the krasnat specifically. While I was exploring the new area called the Memoriam, which is accessed only if we possess the double jump, I found out completely randomly about this secret entrance. If we continue further, we will find ourselves on the roof just above the first shrine, and if we do some little parkouring, we can access a completely new area called Putrefied Ducts. I thought, just how big is this game, man? What the hell? Big, bro. Huge even. I'm talking about the map here, okay? The Putrefied Ducts were the place where I unlocked the last Bellway station for this trophy right here. I was the third person to get this one. The Putrefied Ducts are kinda random honestly and don't have that much going for them. The most important thing we can find here is this tool right here. What it does is once we touch the maggot infested water, we don't get infected immediately. Instead, this tool takes damage. The other important thing we can find here is this flea NPC who belongs to the flea caravan back in Greymore. He doesn't talk much, but he actually is a vendor. What he sells is the exact location of the missing fleas we have yet to find. Once I saw that this is what he is offering, I did like 5 backflips in a row out of pure joy. Since we are here in Greymore already, I also remembered to visit Nu, who is this alien kid who gave us a task of completing the whole Hunter's Journal. We complete the wish, get another trophy, and since Hornet is my wife, she declines the kiss with a slap. As I was randomly exploring, I found the last Ventrica I haven't yet unlocked, and once I did, I popped another trophy. It was finally time to go back into the Gulag with my new anti-maggot tool and finish up this horrible area while also collecting every remaining lost flea we come across. I was able to finally buy a map of this place from Chakra, and I was yet again surprised just how big it was. Not only does this area smell like shit, it also has the worst gauntlet ever made. I was tearing my hair out already just exploring the place, but once this enemy glitched out on me after all the running and became invincible, I thought that today was the day I finally end it all. After dealing with countless annoying enemies here, the game also throws another boss into the mix just for good measure. After the fight ends, we get rewarded with the Seeker's Soul. We have no use for such item right now, but all I can say is that this is a must-get item items, so at least we got it done early. I went back into the mist and finally figured out that all we have to do is play our needle next to these butterflies, and yeah, I felt pretty stupid for not figuring this out sooner. We arrive at the exhaust organ where we fight another new boss called the Phantom. She reminds me of Lace a lot actually. She may be related to her in some way when it comes to the lore, but I'm not sure. We defeat her by using our newly learned Silk skill, which is a parry. This may be the best skill in the game depending on who you ask. Somehow I ended up back in Sinner's Road and fought yet another boss. This time we have everyone's favorite lunch lady whose attacks are infested with the same maggots we were dealing with just now. She is way too huge for this arena and fighting her can be tricky. No offense to her. By defeating Berta here, we get another ingredient in the form of a pickled mug maggot. 3 more ingredients to go. We then go ahead and complete another wish where we prepare some organs for this guy to eat. He has standards though, so he won't eat just any organs. We will need to prepare seared organs, which we can get by killing enemies with tools that produce fire or basically burn our victims. Skewed organs by using the pin tools like this one for example, and then we will need to get the crushed organs, which we can get by using tools which, as you can guess, crush everything. We then end up finishing the chakra quest, which doesn't have any boss for us to fight at the end. She was basically just looking for the master of her clan throughout the whole game, and she finds out that her master is dead right over here. Nothing too crazy. Although our reward for this are her bracelets, which are really sick. While I was looking for some more tools to use, I stumbled completely randomly upon a new location. The whole theme of this place is flame, and let me tell you, it gets annoying real quick. We can find a lost flea, a mask shard, and a craft metal here. Just the basic stuff. Locating every single flea from now on was no issue since I bought up every map of their location, so we went ahead and found all of them. Before we claim our last reward from the flea squad, we moved them over to the last location, which was all the way up here in Putrefied Ducts, and yeah, another trophy done. Time for a celebration though, since this was the first trophy I was actually the first one in the world to get. I know, tremendous achievement. LinkedIn is terrified of me. Unemployment final boss and all. We didn't get our keys to our new home in Belhar despite the economy, which is always nice. There are these 2 guys sitting here who offer us courier quests where our objective is to transport various goods to different locations. The catch is though that we can't fast travel, and also the goods can be damaged if we are not careful. The distances we have to cover in some of these quests are pure insanity. Good thing is that they are not required for the 100% in any way, except this one called Courier's Rasher, where we have to transport one of the precious ingredients for the guy in the dining hall. We also have to go fast, since the quality of the ingredient diminishes over time. In order to make it, we have to travel through the whole of Shellwood, the entire path of Blasted Steps, and then finally not die in the beginning parts of the Citadel, which is easier said than done. The 2 ingredients we have left to get are pretty easy to obtain. The first one we can get basically for free once we visit this lady who we already met. We completed her wish earlier, when we collected those 3 mossberries, if you remember. And the last ingredient, which is the vintage nectar, can be obtained after paying this bartender a hefty sum and then descending into his basement. The operation doesn't really go smoothly though, as we get ambushed by a bunch of ants here. They are easily defeated at this stage of the game, so no worries. Was this a complete coincidence, or was this a planned attack by Mr. Bartender here? Not sure why I chose this order of action, but before I claimed my reward in the dining hall, I decided to go for one of the secret endings which has a trophy tied to its completion. First, we have to speak to this lady over in Shellwood and complete her fetch quest by collecting some polyp hearts which look like this. We then finally get rid of this crank piece of shit in our inventory and give it to her. Let's not get too happy immediately though, since before we are able to leave, the lady takes the little guy and places it somewhere inside us. This means exactly what it looks like. We are cursed and we can't equip any tools and also can't even heal. Finding a cure is our top priority, but before that we have to face Grandmother Silk once again. We have to defeat her while we are cursed, which means no tools and no healing. Thankfully, this boss is really not that challenging and we managed to take her down again in just 3 tries. A new ending plays out where we get conjoined with our favorite Jilf and the game ends just like that. This trophy is missable as far as I know, so good thing we got it done. When it comes to the leaderboards, we were the 3rd to unlock this. Also, the cure is located up here in Greymore, in this little house. To actually get rid of our curse, we'll need to complete a small side quest first, but right after that we are bueno. It's time to enter Act 3. I only mentioned the really important quests, otherwise we would be here for 4 hours, but just so you know, to get to Act 3 we had to complete countless wishes, which was extremely confusing when I played it. There were no guides to anything at this point, and Act 3 was literally just a myth, and I honestly didn't even believe it was real for a while. The moment I started believing was when I randomly entered the first shrine and talked to the snail dude who gave me the quest called Silk and Song. That quest doesn't even sound real, honestly. He proposes some great plan to take down GMS and save the world. All he needs us to do is collect 3 souls. One of these souls is called the Seeker Souls, which we managed to collect way back after the Bilewater Gauntlet. The next soul we collect is in Mask Grotto, after we approach the snail lady we encountered at the beginning of the game. We also need a snare setter, which is located in the Weave Nest Atla here in Moss Grotto as well. It was actually quite well hidden and I didn't notice the opening when I first visited this place. The last soul we need to execute our plan is located just under Bellheart. This dude has it and after we talk to him he just gives it to us. How nice of him. With every item acquired we face off against GMS one more time and take her down. Instead of actually consuming her like we did last time, we want to start playing our needle. The Void appears and starts taking her and us to the Shadow Realm. Lace appears out of nowhere though and saves us. Hornet lives but the kingdom doesn't and everything basically goes to shit. We get a trophy for this ending as well and placed third again. Now this is pretty cool. To go back to our save file we have to uncorrupt it or unlock it by smashing the X button. Upon loading up the game we wake up confused and try to escape this crumbling place. The whole game basically transforms and a lot of the locations we used to know change in appearance. As we go ahead and try out the Bellway station we get surprised by a giant centipede, another boss we have to fight right off the bat. I thought that he killed our taxi boy but I was thankfully proved wrong in this sequence. Theater level script, I'm telling you. Our taxi boy is actually taxi girl based on the babies that appear under her. Just look how cute they are, I mean come on. We visit the Snail Squad once again who are residing in their small chapel now in Moss Grotto talking about life. They tell us to visit the Abyss and since we have nothing better to do we oblige. We access the Abyss from the deep docks through this bell elevator which is operated by one of the friendlier bell guys. Here in the Abyss our objective is to confront whatever is down there making all this noise. As we travel deeper while dealing with whatever this is, Lace appears before us and tells us that we can't really go down there since we would die. That is a good point unfortunately. We leave with the intention of finding something that would get us through all the void down here but not before grabbing the last movement ability, the Silksong. By throwing our needle upwards we can travel almost any distance we want. As we go all this way back we notice that the bell we used to get here is suspiciously missing. We have to reach the surface on our own which as you might have guessed isn't as easy as taking the chill elevator. Some unfortunate stroke of luck makes this whole entrance even completely collapse as we try to escape. We safely reach the surface and visit the snail shamans once again. Learning this new elegy becomes very important for our next step. We need to claim 3 hearts of various bosses we can access only in their own memory, so we can get the Everbloom flower which helps us fight off the void down in the abyss. The first heart we go for is the pollen one that can be found right here. Nihileth is the boss to defeat and what's really interesting is that throughout almost the whole fight we can't stand on the ground. It simply disappears at one point and yeah, that's it, good luck. We have to cling to the walls and attack the boss with our dive attacks. This creates extremely weird situations which I wasn't really adapted to as you know, there is no encounter like this anywhere else. Once we defeat her we can claim our heart and move over to the Sands of Karak where we face against the whole population of the Coral Tower. To face the boss and claim our heart we need to get through many waves of enemies first. These are the simple gauntlet encounters we face everywhere by now, but every enemy we fight here is unique only to this location which is pretty cool. Some of these enemies can teleport and dodge making the fight drag on for a little while but they are necessarily difficult. That goes for everyone except these overweight bugs or whatever. They kicked my ass a few times before I realized I can just spam my drill tool and take them out rather quickly. They aren't even that bad to deal with honestly, just simple skill issue on my part. After dealing with every gauntlet we can finally face off against the big boss Khan who is one of my favorite fights. He can cast these spikes that start off pretty slowly but increase in speed as the fight progresses. I died to him almost immediately on my first try but luckily we don't have to go through all of that again since we shot down this hugest icicle on the ceiling that broke everything below it. They definitely made the Khan boss fight a little more forgiving though to compensate for the difficulty of the tower as a whole. Another heart acquired and one more to go. After all this time the Hunter's March, which is the area with ants, gets a meaning since to access our last heart we need to travel upwards right over here next to the statue of this lady. She will become important in just a while. In this semi-new location we encounter a strange NPC who likes to race and that's it. We can take him up on the challenge since there are rewards and of course pride on the line. Now back to our psychotic heart collecting. The girl to defeat is of course Carmelita, many people's favorite boss fight. What's special about her is that she can actually block our attacks. We only get about 1 attack per rotation and then it's her turn again. She is really difficult at first but once I figure out that I have to be really patient with her she got clapped. I say this while spending about 30 minutes to beat her by the way. The Hunter's heart is ours, meaning we can go back to the shamans and get our pretty new flower. By going into coma for a while we get a bunch of memories of Hornet and we can see her while she was younger and oh my god she's so cute. What really made me excited was when I saw that Team Cherry put some assets from the original Hollow Knight back into this game. Even the White Lady made an appearance while we simultaneously have that shit on. Look at the drip. We get our flower but more importantly a trophy for acquiring said flower. Another celebration time since I, or rather we, were the first people in the world to get it. This makes me excited since me and my bum ass will forever sit at the top for this trophy. I mean who cares but still, let me have a bit of fun. By the way the snails are gone, rest in peace. We can find a shaman crest which transforms our moveset into some kind of a mage. This crest is extremely slow though so I'm not sure what's up. The range really doesn't compensate for the downsides but who knows, maybe it's overpowered. The last crest we need for the trophy is located by this architect guy down in the underworks. We need to buy the architect's key from him and enter his vault. This crest is useful for players who spam a lot of tools since since you can craft new ones if you use this. I'm not that player though, so the trophy is sufficient enough. Second place for this one. Back at the Abyss, we come back to this place with the Void Pool and are finally able to jump in. What we find here is a tangled Grandmother Silk and a new version of Lace we haven't seen yet. This boss is extremely difficult, mind you. Every attack Lost Lace does has a really tight timing, not only on the dodging but also on the punish window. Again, only about one attack is possible to land per cycle. She also has a second phase where she gains a lot of new attacks. Look at me dying to this stupid wave while I stand there lobotomized. I would argue that the second phase is more forgiving, which might sound surprising. Every attack is AoE, which I found way more easier to dodge. This attack is especially nice since we can sneak about 3 hits in. Defeating Lace uncorrupts her and we save her by taking her into our hands, siphoning every bit of silk from the Grandmother and jumping 700 miles into the air. Even with our flower, we are not able to escape on our own. That's when the knight pays us a visit and saves us since he became one with the Void in the original game's final ending. This moment ties both games together and confirms that Silksong is indeed a sequel and not a prequel like many people thought. Lace is saved as well and she just laughs it off while Hornet stares at her like she just stole her McChicken coupons. Sister of the Void trophy is earned as well, and I'm here to proudly announce that we were the first people to get this trophy as well. Absolute massive day for the unemployed. The Platinum trophy is far from over though, so let's go over the rest quickly. First thing we knock off our list are the flea games. There are 3 mini games we must place first at to get the reward, which is the Pale Oil. It's really important to equip a crest that has a nice pogo move like this one to make the game's difficulty trivial. This is the last Pale Oil we can get, which means our needle is fully maxed out. I then went ahead and collected the last Silk Heart, which is located in the Wide World. We fight this guy and he actually proposes some challenge. I'm not sure how to effectively dodge his projectile attacks, so I face tanked him almost every time he did it. Grabbing the last Silk Heart gives us a trophy. We then go ahead and check out the arena we fought Grandmother Silk the first time. Since Lace saved us by cutting her arm off, we find out it's still chilling here. A new skill is granted to us in the form of these needle missiles, which are really powerful. By going back to Putrefied Ducks and traveling left, we find the last key we need to access every door back in the prison, or slab if you will. Our new key unlocks a way to a really excellent boss fight, the first Sinner. This Weaver guy made my blood pump like almost no other boss in the game. The music is also perfect here, making the fight even more exciting. What we really need to look out for is his teleporting ability, which comes up extremely often. We have to be really swift with our attacks, otherwise they will just miss. I can't wait to see what Team Cherry cooks up for the DLC. Just talking about it makes me hyped, I'm not gonna lie. Defeating him grants us the last skill we can get, which gets us another trophy. Third place for this one. For the next trophy, Entwined, we need to bind Eva. That's the NPC located way back in Weaver Nest Atla. What she really wants from us is to use up a lot of memory lockets to upgrade our crest. Each memory locket unlocks more space for the various tools we would like to equip. I primarily used only one crest, and that is why we are doing this just now. By binding her, we get the ability to fully regenerate our silk by sitting on a bench. We are fourth to get this trophy. Making our way over to the right, we can see the Green Prince NPC standing over a dead body. We don't care right now. What I actually came to get is the last map for the Cartographer trophy. We were the 6th to get this one, and now with pretty much the whole map discovered, I decided to quit. And make a new save to go for the 5-hour speedrun trophy, of course. Now, just to be clear, I had no help in routing this playthrough, so we're going to see a lot of mistakes. Well, let's go. I start up the run as usual and beat the Moss Mother and Bellway Beast. I then ring the first bell of 5 so we can get to the Citadel, making our way through the Marrow and all the way through the Deep Docks just to get our beautiful sprint ability. I then fight the Lace and ring the second bell right over here. So I wasn't really sure where to go from here since I didn't really remember. Through the process of elimination in my head, I decided that the best way to continue was to get the floating ability and make our way to Greymore by breaking through the ground. We then travel right so we can defeat the gauntlet with many annoying ass birds and activate this lever, which in turn activates these jumping balloons we all love. This is because I wanted to ring the third bell, which isn't possible to access normally. What stopped me in my tracks though was Morwick. This boss is extremely difficult for me. Anyways, after spending a lot of time fighting him, we travel to Shellwood and grab the Mantis Claw ability. No, I'm not calling it the Cling Grip, bro, get with the times. We ring the fourth bell and scale the blasted steps all the way to the top. We take a small break on this bench and try to remember where the fifth bell was. I completely forgot about the Bellheart quest and didn't free the people there. Luckily, I remember in time and we make our way to the Widow boss fight and ring the fifth bell. With every bell rang, we can safely stand before the gate to the Citadel and activate the last judge boss fight. Even after all this time, I still get my ass beat by her and spend about 10 minutes in attempts. The underworks are indeed skippable, but I wasn't aware of that at this point, so the long route it is. After dealing with the gauntlet here, we speed past every enemy in the Citadel just to face the dancers as fast as we can. Now, the last thing we need to do is collect every melody piece for the threefold song. Before we start collecting though, we need to get the harpoon ability again. We get the Architect's melody first by getting through this platforming section. With the knowledge we have now, we breeze through. The second part of the melody is located in the high hall section, and to get it we have to get through this horrible gauntlet section. I got beat so bad I went back into Belhart and upgraded our needle for extra damage. Not sure why I didn't do it earlier before the last judge, but what can we do? This encounter was the biggest issue in my 5-hour run by far. These two guys together are a special kind of pain. Battered and bruised, we make it through. Now for the last piece we have to travel through the Whispering Vaults so we can make our way to Trobio. The second time I fought this guy I realized I absolutely love him. Another boss I'm excited to fight in the DLC. Please Team Cherry, make it happen and my life is yours. After he is done for, we grab the Psalm Cylinder, bring it to this guy and start learning. With every melody learned we can go back to the elevator and ascend. The end is really near at this point and all we need to do is fight the last two bosses. Compared to her lost version, she's a complete joke here. The last boss we have to face is GMS and she's even easier. We managed to beat her the second try. With that the game ends and our completion is revealed. 4 hours and 2 minutes. Not too bad in my opinion. First speedrun trophy down and 5th place for this one. Our journey is still not over since we need to get to 100% completion as well. We already went through pretty much everything, so I will speed this up. The first thing I earned was the trophy for collecting all 20 mask shards. The biggest time sink for the 100% completion though are the tools. There are 57 of them if I'm not mistaken. These can be also found in the wild, bought up or quested up. What? Anyways, some tools take a long time to get, like for example the one you get for completing the Green Prince quest. This whole section of the map pretty much exists for this one quest and the tool you get here. 2 bosses, new enemies and a whole ass section of the map for one tool. You get to experience the quest as well, but you know what I mean. Also, don't get me started on the ones you have to buy, by the way. I spent so much time farming up rosaries so I could afford them. Grabbing our last tool, which I found here in High Halls, unlocks our precious trophy. Soon after, I also found every spool fragment, which are kinda random honestly. If you want to platinum this yourself, I recommend using a guide after you get the true ending. Before finishing our 30-hour run, we must not forget to visit this area and grab the Passing of Age quest. This wish, or quest, gives us 7 riddles we have to solve. Each solved riddle provides a location we have to visit and play on our needle there. The first location is here in Moss Grotto, where we face the first boss of the game. A really weird mushroom shows up and has a schizophrenic episode where it talks about random stuff. I'm sure there is a hidden message somewhere in this, but I can't be bothered, I'm sorry. The second location is in Bone Bottom after climbing up right here. The third location is in Farfields, all the way to the right on a platform. The fourth location is in Greymore and we can find him on our way to Wisp Ticket. The fifth location is in the slab close to the first Sinner boss fight. The second to last location is all the way up here on Mount Fae, and for the last location, brace yourselves, it's all the way up, higher than the highest point on our map. Right where we grab the Pale Nail skill, there is in fact an opening we can access. This brings us to whatever this is, let's just call it the Path of Pain 2. The hardest platforming section in all of Silksong stands before us. I still think that the original Path of Pain in Hollow Knight is harder than this, but it's really up to interpretation and which movement you are more comfortable with. These jumps require absolute mastery of every ability at our disposal. Even the pogos don't go unnoticed. Once we make it all the way to the top, we can talk with Mr. Mushroom for the final time and he flies away. I mean, whatever. We go back into the abyss for the final time and fight Lost Lace once again. This time taking only about 20 minutes instead of 2 hours like previously. With the boss defeated, we end the 100% run in 20 hours and 23 minutes. Here is a quick checklist of what we needed to get for the 100%. If you want to see in detail, pause the video. The last trophy we have to obtain is called True Hunter, and to achieve it, we will need to go back and complete the Hunter's Journal that stores every piece of information about our enemies we defeated. We get a simple description of the enemy we defeat, but to complete the whole tab, we need to defeat many of them. The number of how many though changes. Sometimes it's just 1 if we are talking about the bosses, but that number can go high as 20 when we are talking about random mobs. This video is long as hell as is, so I will mention only 2 of the more unique ones. Don't worry though, you're not missing out on anything. I literally just farmed some over and over again without much exciting stuff happening. The first unique enemy I want to show you is this guy in Wormways. This area didn't always look like this, but ever since a researcher here experimented with lifeblood, everything went to shit. Enemies transformed into even bigger monsters, and it just goes to show how strong this lifeblood substance is. All the way to the left we can find this guy who is our main target for our journal. His fight is pretty infuriating, I mean just look. I was definitely doing something wrong though, but he is down and we don't have to worry about him anymore. The last entry I'm going to show you is a guy tucked away in the most hidden spot in the entire game in my opinion. To reach him we have to go to the sands of Karak and use our super jump to jump up here. Once here, we go over to the statue and play some sick tunes. The statue comes alive and our fight begins. Another tough mini-boss, which I'm glad since I knew our journey was about to end and I wanted it to last just a little longer. With the whole journal completed, the last thing we need to do is go back to Greymore and visit our alien friend we smacked many hours earlier. He congratulates us on our accomplishment and we get the last trophy we needed. As we all know by now, popping the last trophy means we can chill back as the platinum is unlocked. Now, what place did I get? I was the first person to get the Everbloom trophy and also the true ending of the game, which I'm proud of. But was I the first person to get the platinum as well? Well, no. We came 6th, which actually isn't too bad. The next time I'll go for first achiever in some other game, we will definitely get it. See you then.